And then they have cans of soup, and they throw the cans of soup. That's better than a brick because you can't throw a brick, it's too heavy. But a can of soup, you can really put some power into that, right?
Yes, sir.
And then when they get caught, they say, no, this is soup for my family. They're so innocent. This is soup for my family. It's incredible. And you have people coming over with bags of soup, big bags of soup, and they lay it on the ground, and the anarchists take it and they start throwing it at our cops, at our police. And if it hits you, that's worse than a brick because it's got force. It's the perfect size. It's like made perfect. And when they get caught, they say, no, this is just soup for my family. And then the media says, this is just soup. These people are very, very innocent. They're innocent people. These are just protesters. Isn't it wonderful?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think that's a relevant question.
Perfect.
I don't think so. This is about our lives. This is about American lives. And it should not be partisan. Science should not be partisan.
At some point, the daily drumbeat of depression and terror veers into panic porn. FDR said the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
I think the question is,
News sources have to rein it in.
I'll be honest with you. I'm kind of retarded.
We need the news to calm down and treat us like adults.
Yo, dude, so I looked at your Instagram story. That's super exciting that you're adding another show. You know what sucks, dude? I've been wanting to do that for like 2-3 years now. I can't get my friends are so lazy, and that's part of it too, man, is like you want to build yourself a circle and a network of people that are going to forward your goal, and we can all work to, but dude, they're so lazy. They think they're so like driven because they have a steady job that pays them, and then they get pissed at me because, yo, you've been at work all day, let's play Fortnite. I'm like, nah, man, I want to someday have my hobby take away my job. So now the next 6 hours of my night has to be my hobby. And these people, man, all they want to do is play Fortnite. They get pissed at you. And then you're like, yo, what about that podcast we talked about me helping you set up? And they're like, let me call you next week. And you're like, all right. So I love that you're doing that, man. And I'm going to tune in big time to that. I know I'm just going on a rant here, dude.
Nah, you good.
I didn't want to take away from this podcast. So this is me formally asking for maybe like a future podcast, but maybe to promote your new show, kind of push your network a bit. I would love to get you and Blue on here since we can do Zoom. Set him up with one, because dude, your episodes with him are bar none my favorite. You have great episodes and I love watching them, but his just crack me up. You guys have so much fun and it makes it fun to listen to. And yeah, dude, I'm excited for you.
Man, you got to make sure you check out the episode tomorrow. Blue been trying to set up this podcast since I started mine. Actually, my first episode that he was on was because he was going to start his podcast also. So that was going to be like basically both our first episodes. That was almost 2 years ago. So like you just said, people just, but one thing that I like about Blue is one of those people that like knows his flaws. He knows the things he's not good at. And he told me straight up, he was like, I ain't gonna lie, Slim, I just can't do this. He was like, you can do this. He was like, if you just let me come to the show, he was like, you can have the rights to everything. And we'll just put it on your channel and you just do whatever you want with it. He was like, 'cause I'm not going to be able to record this by myself. I'm not going to be able to stay on it. He was like, you're good at stuff like that. I'm not.
Wow.
So that's how that came about. And he wants his podcast to be about, this is interesting. He wants it to be about politics and sports.
You know what? I'm with that. Hold on. This is why I want Blue on the show, man. Because I think me and him would get along way more than you think. This show is so variety based in that, one, my guests are always kind of like yours, very different in kind of what we're going to talk about, their background, their opinions. And then, dude, so I have my list of topics here, things that like if we run out, I could throw at you. And a good portion of them are sports. And I'm like, hey, if he doesn't have sports, you just move on. But dude, I'm with him, and yeah, I have all these interests in talking about social issues and everything else. But when it comes to like the Browns, just keep rolling, baby, and they keep getting better. I just can't help but get excited. So I'm with him. If at any point I have a microphone and a chance to talk, I'm surely gonna want to talk about the Browns. So I'm
Yeah.
with him. And then we'll talk about, Ghislaine like we did last time, and this chick that's arrested somewhere in no man's land, and we haven't even seen her arraignment, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah. I'm always here to talk about politics too, dog. But Blue's takes on politics is interesting. His takes on sports too. That's why, like, when he first told me the idea of like doing a podcast about politics and sports, I was like, those don't go together. You know what I'm saying? I instantly started thinking about Shut Up and Dribble. I'm like, what's up with you, Blue? But then I thought about it. I was like, how he attacks topics is perfect because with him, it's like, so he has his interesting take on LeBron that we're going to talk about tonight. Because we haven't recorded the episode yet. I'm gonna record it tonight and put it out like right after I record it. And his take on LeBron is that he feels like LeBron isn't gonna win a championship because LeBron had a chance to stand up for black people in the cause and he didn't. So the universe is gonna punish him for that. And I'm like, okay, Blue. Yeah, good luck with that take.
Now, I got a question for you. Now, some of my listeners already know this, but I have a bias. One, clearly I'm from Cleveland, but also, dude, I'm telling you, there is not a person in Cleveland who, if they've met him, doesn't have a story about, like, some people have stories about, I saw him at this thing and he was nice. But you'd be amazed at how many people here have a story of just seeing him in real life and him being an absolutely terrible person. I have one personally. I work security for Captain America Winter Soldier when they filmed it downtown. The amount of cops and security workers and just like set workers that would run into him at restaurants or had personal interactions. I could go on forever with stories of just he has a terrible character. So while Blue may be right that I wouldn't be surprised if the universe is doing something, but I don't think it's just one thing. I think he's a terrible person to his core. And, look at the issues he does stand up for, right? This dude speaks up for China more than he does the black community. And this dude fought for taco, the right to Taco Tuesday, just owning a day, a word that everybody uses more than, his victim card that he fights so hard to play for. So, or, always throw down and play. So, I don't know. I have my passionate opinions of LeBron, but it's interesting you bring that up because I have a question for you.
What's up?
What do you think about the NBA? I am out, completely out. I walked out on that a couple years ago, and you could say, well, you're a fair weather fan, and your fandom towards this league is purely based on how good your team is, and when the Cavs are kicked to the curb, you're not as much of a fan. That there is some underlying truth to that, so I will concede my bias. But at the same time, it is so much a show. I mean, dude, even the Harlem Globetrotters at least make me laugh. I mean, this has become such a song and dance show that, like, it isn't even fun for me. And then my team just gets kicked in the crotch every week, and it's like, this isn't fun for anybody besides the LeBron squad. So, and I don't know. I think LeBron has changed the culture. Now, you can't just have teams that build themselves up. It's the great players go to a hotel, unknown, meet amongst themselves, and decide where are we going to go and team up. Again, I understand, that's, as they always call it, the slave mentality, and we've got these rich guys that own these people. Well, also, it makes it really unfun and no longer a game when it's just the lords of the game deciding who's going to win this year. Like, I guess, what do you think of that? There's a balance, and then I also want you to answer the overarching question I had for you. It's like, the NBA, where it's at. They said this is the lowest ratings we've ever had, and do you see it coming back? Is it because of the bubble, or is it because where the NBA's taking it? I don't know. Go.
I think it's like multiple parts to this question because first off, it's like, I hate when I'm like playing basketball randomly at a park and like it's always the old guy like, oh, you punks are so soft nowadays. Things is going to change. So I think the game has changed, Will I say it changed for the better? I'm not going to make that statement, and I'm not going to say it changed for the worse neither. I'm kind of in the middle, man. I'm one of them people that just like to enjoy things for what it is. Like there's things that I like about the new NBA. There's things that I don't like. It's the same way with like hip hop music for me. Like I don't like a lot of this new hip hop music, but it is some stuff that I do like. You got to take it with what it is. Now, as far as what you were saying about them like ganging up and stuff, I'm 100% against that. I would like to see a very even league, but I'm gonna be honest. This year, I felt like it was even. I enjoyed this playoffs. Now, this whole bubble debacle thing, I don't think people are digging into this like how they should. And see, that's why I like listening to what you just said, because I think you understand this bubble thing. Like the ratings are probably low because it's a lot going on with this bubble. First off, it's costing them a lot of money to be in Disney World. It's a lot of money. Then second off, you're asking somebody that's rich to get up and go to Orlando without their family and live in a bubble for X amount of months. You can't get no ass. You can't go to the strip club. You can't go get no food outside the bubble. If you do go get food, it can only be like in a certain area around Disney World. Like it's too many rules. So of course, like the players aren't there mentally at all. And I don't blame them because like KD said on Joe Budden podcast, he was like, bruh, who the hell really is about to go 3 to 4 to 5 months without sex? Like, it's funny you just said earlier about LeBron, like, question his character. Like, I can't judge him at all for anything he's feeling or any actions he's doing right now in this bubble. I can't imagine going 2 weeks without sex. And this man been in a bubble for months without it. For real.
And he's LeBron. So, like, I got to imagine your appetite gets pretty strong when you're literally the king of the world. But again, I think you raised some really great points. What's so interesting is I have a friend that he's fighting in the UFC, and one of the questions I cannot wait to ask him when I finally get him on the podcast is what it's like to be fighting with no one in the stands. Now, if we go and talk about that across all sports, right? Baseball, it has an effect. But you know what has a greater effect in baseball? The actual stadium. Every stadium is tailored to the team. So some fences are a little shorter than others. And, you know, they have different obstacles. Like, our fence in the back is the second tallest to the Green Monster. But the Green Monster is totally ridiculous. And compare that to something like, you know, let me think. Tampa Bay, theirs is a little closer and shorter, but they have a little higher one too. Regardless, the stadium has more of an effect than the people, but the people have an effect. You can get loud when a pitcher's pitching, and that stuff has an effect. Then you get to football, and it's grander. It's more grandiose. You have maybe some are completely enclosed, or you're like Michigan, and it's entrenched in the ground. And, you know, that really it's all your colors. So all you can see is your color or your opposing color. That has an effect too. But then you get to basketball. And basketball, similarly to hockey, but nowhere near as much, is completely in an enclosed stadium. So that has an effect with the sound.
Yeah.
But then furthermore, it is the only sport where you have fans literally up to the point where they are playing the game. So you have a wall of humans to the roof from where they play in an enclosed stadium. Home field advantage has literally the most effect in the sport of basketball compared to all sports. I think the UFC has to be something similar, but it isn't the effect of you won't have a bias where home field advantage truly has an effect.
Oh yeah.
Unless you're
100% right about that, because I said that before the playoffs even started. I said there's no way in hell LeBron James loses an AAU tournament. Because that's all that is, an AAU tournament. But not having a crowd is crazy to me, because it's just like you watching it on TV and you're hearing these fake crowd noises, and it's like you're not selling that to me. I know there's nobody
Can
there.
we talk about that? The fake crowds?
Oh, I hate that, because it doesn't even match what's going on. It doesn't match. So we're watching baseball. We're in the playoffs. Jose Ramirez goes up, and everybody, hip, hip, Jose, hip, hip, Jose. It's like, this cheer isn't really happening. So how can it excite me?
You know, like if I was up to bat, it would upset me, mainly because of, similarly to Blue, that's why I love him, my politics come into play, and my opinion of this entire charade pisses me off. So if I'm up to bat and I'm hearing fake people cheer me on, it is only going to bother me. Like, it's definitely not going to be like,
Yeah.
oh, this is home run. This is going over. No, it's totally getting in my head. And I have done everything in my power to avoid basketball. So I am speaking out of turn in some regard. But based on what I watched, they really didn't have the fans that loud. It really wasn't an effect. It seemed more like an empty gym, just boring and sad. And the one game I watched, they couldn't even do them the favor of lighting up the whole stadium. And I understand, you don't want to just display empty seats, but also it just felt like you were playing in an empty locker. It's just the shade, and it's just into the abyss. You're just playing, and it's like, what is this? I'm with
you. The biggest thing that I don't think they thought about all the way is that now you have these players in this empty gym, and you have this camera with this huge microphone on them. Every time they cuss, yell, and scream, we can hear all that shit. Jaylen Brown, they missed a call on Jaylen Brown, and I heard him scream 5 cuss words in a row, and they tried to hurry up and turn the mic off. I'm like, we already heard it now. I don't think they thought that all the way out.
So, do you see Miami making a comeback?
Oh, nah, no. It's over. I'm gonna be honest too. It's funny you was talking about Cleveland. Everybody was blaming the Cleveland Browns for LeBron losing game 3, and I had money on that game, so I was mad as hell too. He's tweeting talking about some OBJ good shit. I'm like, bro, you got game 3. You don't need to be worried about what the Cleveland Browns doing right now. But he tweeting right before the game because he played on Sunday too, and he tweeting before the game.
That's so funny. Hey, how could you not be watching Odell? I mean, so I gotta ask, are you a football guy? Have you been watching any football?
Oh yeah, I'm a big football guy.
So Falcons are your team?
Yeah, Falcons are my team. Unfortunately, man, I'm gonna be honest, I've been a little sad. I've been telling everybody though, the game we played against the Cowboys, I had a lot of money on that game also. When Julio dropped that football, I think it was in the second or the third quarter. Not only did I know that the Cowboys was going to come back, I knew our season was over. I turned it off. I was in the middle of filming somebody, and I was like, I didn't really have to pay attention to the camera because it was a podcast. So I was just looking at the phone, and when that happened, I screamed real loud, almost messed their podcast up, and I just turned the phone off and was like, I'm not watching no more Falcon games. And I didn't watch no more Falcon games. I kid you not. When 1 o'clock comes on, I don't even look and see the Falcons game. I don't even how you bounce between games. I don't even do it. I'd rather watch the Bucks. I said, you know what? I'll watch Tom Brady.
You kill me,
that's
man.
how angry they got me.
Listen, I have been rooting for a team I have seen go to the playoffs once in my life, and I was too young to probably even process it. I was 9. And literally, we had an 0-16 season recently within the past few years. Similarly,
the Lions had one also,
being in the Super Bowl, and you've given up on your team so fast. You've disappointed me.
Man, look, it's not even that I gave up on him. And it's funny because the year we went to the Super Bowl, I think we had lost I think we won our first game of the season and we lost 2 in a row after that. And I remember telling my homeboy, man, I'm a cheesehead. I ain't no Falcons fan no more. You know what I'm saying? But I was joking. But these recent years, it's not that I gave up. Yeah, a little bit. But it's not that I gave up on the Falcons. It's just, man, it's kind of like being in an abusive relationship. How many times you gonna let this man keep beating you up? You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I know exactly
that's some nasty
what you're
humor,
saying.
but
you have no idea how much I relate to that.
Yeah.
Again, a Browns fan. We are lucky to have a winning season. That's when our wins are just one game better than our losses. And you have no idea the amount of times I've left that stadium in freezing cold weather with my tail between my legs, and I would sit in that car going, I'm rooting for the Falcons next week. Or not the Falcons. I would always go, I'm rooting for the Seahawks. Always root for the Seahawks. I love their uniforms. They're fun to watch. And then next week I get my heart broken once more. But we're not doing that this time. Odell looks like a champion. He's running the ball. We've got Jarvis throwing the ball. Now, Nick Chubb got
That
hurt.
pass by
He's a
Jarvis
guy.
was great.
How great was that?
Yeah,
And
it was great.
the one thing I noticed with the Browns is Odell is like our albatross. We got to get him off our shoulders as soon as we can. If we can get him a touchdown or at least a good deep pass, there's this omen that's like relieved of us, this pressure. Because like if we don't get him a ball and we keep trying it just snowballs. We keep forcing it then. His attitude goes up. He's pissed at everybody and it ruins it. So not only were we able to check that off the list right away, but it was one of the most dominating plays you could have. And so somebody posted a video. It was on Jarvis's Instagram. He's pitching like, in high school or college with his right hand, and he threw that bomb with his left hand.
Yeah, I seen that.
This
That's insane.
Jarvis, I think, is better than Odell. But again, Odell is fantastic, and he showed it for the first time. As a Browns fan, for a little while now, it's like, all right, Odell, prove to us you deserve to have this ego and attitude that because he didn't put up last year, and people picked him high, regretted it. People got rid of him early on this season, and he deserves the praise after the last game. I mean, the Cowboys were the first big win. Now we can finally say we're competing.
4 touchdowns. You can't do nothing but jump back on the bandwagon.
Cannot tell you the last time I saw 49 points scored by the Browns.
Hey, how you feel about Baker Mayfield though? Are you comfortable with him as your quarterback?
And I said this to people as soon as the game was over. That win was a fantastic show and the result of everyone but Baker. Baker was vanilla. He was there just enough. Think of like a tent. He's not the tent. He's not the showy tent, but he was there to be the pole to hold the tent up. But
okay,
Big Chubb, he's like a god. He is literally a god, and he gets hurt. That's detrimental. Your best running back. Look at the Chiefs in a winning season, where Tyreek Hill is out for the first 3 weeks. They had a really terrible time with their running game. The Browns were lucky that Chubb goes down and you still have a top 10 running back waiting to go in. And then we get these rookies that have never played, and they looked incredible. We got super
Y'all
lucky.
lucked up on getting Kareem Hunt, too. Y'all
Kareem,
super lucked up.
that
I got him
lady-
on my fantasy, too, and he's going crazy.
The lady kicker is amazing. I love him.
The lady kicker. That's hilarious.
The best. I will come fight to his defense any day. Here, I got a question for you. We'll do it right now. This is a perfect time. If I were to be in any situation, take someone of the liking of Kareem Hunt, and it's a given evening, really doesn't matter the location, but let's just say it's his own personal bedroom, like his hotel room. And I get in his face and start screaming at him as if I'm impenetrable, screaming and slap him across the face. What would the result of that, someone like me who looks like me, talks like me, is the size of me, how does that result compared to, I don't know, being like pushed away with your foot? It's not like you wound up and kick her like a soccer ball. And I think that's the minute detail that people neglect. It's like, yeah, it's not a good look. It's a girl. He's an NFL player. Everybody says that's why you got to have your group, your posse, your people. They take care of those types of people for you so you don't get in trouble because you're the one paying the bill getting, with the profession. So I just feel like this girl lucked out on how that ended. In any other world situation similar to it, the people aren't so lucky, just getting kind of pushed away. It's not like she had any bruises or injuries. So
I think in our country, we need to reanalyze how we look at domestic violence situations. Like, I'm not saying we have to be like in the Middle East and be like, hey, that's your wife, you can cut her head off in public if you want to. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying we have to relook at it. Like, I remember when I was young, a girl like pushed me down a slide and I had like burns all over me. My mom seen it and was like, what happened? I told her, and she was like, and you didn't do nothing? I was like, nah, you ain't supposed to hit girls. And she was like, who the hell told you that? And I was like, that's what people say. You ain't supposed to hit girls. She was like, boy, I don't care who put their hands on you. Better hit them back. Like, that's the mentality we should have. Like, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I've never hit a woman before. But when it comes to domestic situations, I can see how a man and a woman can get into a fight. And I view it differently. I'm like, hey, if two willing participants want to fight, let them fight. That's their business. You know what I'm saying? They can fight to the death if that's what they want to do. I'm not going to be like, oh, you nasty, you hit a woman. Like, I done seen some women beat up some men before. Like,
That's
matter of
for
fact,
real.
my friend has a baby with this girl that I know for a fact could probably beat up half our friends. Easily, too. Easily. I'm talking about she a big, strong girl. I ain't even talking about
that
fat.
changes things because, like, I would take the Joe Rogan approach, where Joe Rogan says he looks at his wife and his kids and he's like, I could kill them, like with my hands, just snap them over my leg.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the man. He is the Hulk. And, he's being pumped up with every stem cell and steroid he can get his hand on legally.
A lot of money,
Dude
too.
is yoked. And so it's a different dynamic to some respect. And, he knows jujitsu and can literally kick anyone's ass. Taking that away, I think the point still stands of, I wrestled, I played football, I have a second-degree black belt. I could probably take my own with a lot of people. I was out with a walk with a girl the other day, and she was telling me the story. She's like, we were in the park, and she goes, just the other night, it was the middle of the day, but this guy, he was like, I'm going for a jog with my puppy, and he's jogging behind me, and every, trail path I take, he kept following me. And of course, this was the time I forgot my knife. I was just super scared, and I kept thinking, why isn't he taking a hint? Why isn't he taking a hint? And finally, she ducked down this one spot, and she turned around, and he was gone. And that scared her even more. And it's like, okay, I understand. Listen, people scare me. If I was in an alley and there's a stranger, I don't trust people. I think it's because I'm in a courtroom all day and I see the terrible side of humanity.
Hey, hold on. Let me stop you real quick.
Yes.
Let me stop you real quick. I got some that's real funny. I remember one time somebody told me, they was like, you know what racism is? Racism is walking down the street and people walk on the other side of the road. And I looked at them, I was like, I ain't gonna lie, I be walking down the street sometimes and I go to the other side of the road too.
Listen, man,
you know what I'm saying? It ain't got nothing to do with black and white.
Scare me just as much.
Yep.
People scare me. Listen, just like the talk about cops. There's good cops and there's bad cops. It's with everybody. There's good workers at the BMV and there's bad workers at the BMV. There are good white people and bad white people. Same with black people, orange people, and maroon people. All the people. There's good and there's bad. My grandma always said 50% of the world wakes up every day trying to figure out ways to screw over the other 50%. That is the world we live in. And so I don't trust people just as much. But we have to acknowledge that there is this place. And again, the narrative does get over-harped. So I understand the reflexive knee-jerk. But also, there is a reality where these, women live in a more fearful society where, reality where they have to fear for danger more than I would. Because like I conceded to her, I would be afraid, but I also would have just enough confidence to go, I may not survive this. And if there's a gun, it's over. But if it's me versus a human, I'll do enough to at least injure the hell out of you too. We're both gonna feel this thing, and so that gives me a little bit more of a sense of security than them. So I only go on this huge long rant to say I agree with you in some respect. If your girl is one that can beat the ass of all your boys, you're dating the Hulk, and the Hulk can fight for herself. I'm all for it. Dukes with the Hulk, but when it comes to my palate, it's a tiny, dainty girl, and I see myself settling with someone who I can most likely not have to worry about physically as much. So there's some respect. I guess there's an extent. Are you coming at me with a knife? At that point, like
Yeah.
we see so many domestic cases, and the judge is just like, there was a guy who was here for another matter, and he goes, Judge, you gave me the best advice I've ever gotten in my life, and it was that my relationship with my wife was toxic. I needed to leave her, and now I've got my new wife and kids, and it's the greatest life I've ever had. So some people will force a toxic relationship, and it takes, severe measures to make them realize that they need to get out of it. And so I say all of this only because I feel like I am just enough old-fashioned where, I'm the guy that's going to pay for the date and, whatever. I'm still biting that bullet. Men are men. But I think our duty is to de-escalate more than to reciprocate.
Oh yeah, don't get it confused. I definitely meant to say before I said all that nobody should put their hands on it. That's why I said I've never
No,
hit a woman.
trust me, you
Because,
emphasized that. You definitely did.
yeah,
No hitting women.
I'm definitely not getting in a situation and being like, yeah, we definitely should fight now. Nah, I'm never doing that. I'm never doing that. Don't get me wrong now. People call me a caveman. Like, matter of fact, last week I got into it with one of my friends and I was like, I ain't gonna lie, we should just fight and get it over with. Like, I'm tired of talking. You know what I'm saying? I was joking, but it's like sometimes
For
that's
real.
how you feel as a man. But with a woman, I'd rather, like, if we get to this point, I'd rather we just leave each other alone. That's why I'm gonna be completely honest. When it comes to love and all that type stuff, I'm really stupid. Like, I understand a lot of stuff in this world, but that love stuff, I don't care if you my mama. If you put your hands on me or you're not good for me, I'm out.
That's true. That's true. You
For
get to
real.
a point where that disciplining, all of it. Listen, I'm too old for this. Like, I'll just grab your hand, like, right, I'll just catch it. I know, and it'll be over. Like you said, that's what, you just keep widening that separation. At the end of the day, though, I think when it gets to that point, this isn't good. I mean, at the point at which, okay, maybe one time you try to slap me and I catch it and you're like, oh, and then we get past it. That's different than, like I said, if you pulled out a knife, yeah, this is survival mode. Like, I'm not saying I'm going to come kill you, but if you come at me with a knife, I'm going to, like, karate chop you in the side of the head, just, like, right in the neck. I don't know what I'm going to do.
And you got to, though.
Exactly. And it's going to just, I'm just trying to stop you and get out. And that's it. But but when it gets to the point of severity, you should be like, you'll be able to gauge, hopefully before that point of, like, yeah, she calls me a bitch too much. I was gonna say something worse, and I was like, probably shouldn't say that. So.
Yeah, they got cancel culture nowadays. You got to watch what we say. It's getting real scary out here. I think
Isn't
the
it
other
crazy?
day I called somebody gay, and they was like, "Yeah, you can't say that." I was like, "You can't call people gay? Like, what's going on here?"
Okay, can we just? I don't know if I could take the conversation here, but we might as well. It's the Rethink Tank. But I was just saying the other night amongst the family that, like, there's just some words that, one, if it's a word I call my best friends, really not gonna say that there's a lot of flame behind it, right? Like, there's not much poison when I call
Yeah.
my best friends the word. But, when you have a word that starts with an F, gets a good G in there, and ends with a T, you're just like, get. It's just fun to say. And
Yeah.
listen, like, Louis C.K. said it best. And it's a funny joke, but it's also very real. He goes, we call these people all for, like, a century. You're retarded. You know that, right? You are retarded. And they're like, okay. And then we just go, hey, you're not retarded anymore. Oh, you fixed me? No. We haven't even started that. And
No,
so
you're
it's
special now.
yeah, exactly. So it's like changing the term doesn't change the problem. Also, it doesn't change what you're saying. You're using that word because of what it references. We talked about this in debate when we were in high school. Some senator wanted to change the meaning of legally change the word from retard to, like, mentally handicapped. It was like this long thing.
Yeah, I
And it's
remember it.
like, whatever you change it to, That's what I'm just gonna start calling my friends. Like you're never gonna take away the term and its meaning. And then hopefully you do that. Just go ahead and do that, and then let us have this word, this fun word that we like to call our friends. I say with my friends all the time, if someone like the CIA agent that's in charge of laughing and listening to my psychotic existence, if they have a recording of my Xbox Live with my friends, this podcast, I don't have to worry about cancel culture with this podcast at all. At all. If somebody has my private conversations with my friends, it's over.
Yeah.
10 times over. So, I don't know, man. It's gotten wild.
Man, people just too sensitive nowadays. Like, it's not even, most of this stuff not a big deal. Like, words are words. Don't get me wrong. You can put some power and some strong meaning behind a word, but overall, it's like, who really cares? Like, I don't care about stuff like that. It's just too stupid. Like, a situation I was saying, all I said was, they was like, oh, do you know such and such? I was like, yeah, you're talking about the gay guy. And they was like, oh, you can't call people that. It's like, what? What you mean you can't call people gay? Like, so what are we calling them now? Just like with the pronouns. It's like, what pronoun are we using now? I don't get this. What's up with this pronoun stuff?
Dude, I just recently learned that to people who aren't Jewish, calling someone a Jew is like offensive. But if you talk to someone who's Jewish, they're like, that's what I am. And I'm like, I know, I don't get it. I can't keep up.
Exactly.
It's other people who look at, I went to Miami of Ohio. They were the Miami Redskins, right? So they changed their name. They're now the Miami Redhawks. The people from the Miami tribe get to go to Miami for free. So there is great pride in this tribe towards our school, the name, everything. When you talked to somebody from the tribe in your class, they would tell you, all of them, unanimously, that they had affection for the name Redskins and that it was based and named off of them. And it was a group of angry white people who were upset on their behalf that had the name changed for them. And we're experiencing that with the Indians. We're experiencing it with the Washington football team. I mean,
that's the worst name in history. The Washington football team. What is that? And they doing good this season, ain't they? Ain't they like 2-2?
Dude, they are the worst team in the league, bar none. Bar none. They just lost to the Bengals.
Oh yeah, they did. You're right. So what?
They lost to us like a baby. We just bent them over our knee. It was just like, ha. They're terrible, terrible.
The Washington football team.
Exactly, it's deserving. The Washington football team. Have you seen their helmets? Sad.
Yeah. People get too carried away with these names though, man. Like I haven't met one person that was like, I'm highly offended by the word Redskin. I haven't met one person.
I have.
You have for real?
White people.
Oh yeah.
It's crazy, man. It's these liberals that get upset for other people. Like you don't want them canceled. I want them canceled for you. They are hurting you. I'm telling you. Like you may not feel the pain. They are hurting you. And it's just like,
I was told, I live in Georgia. I'm really close to Atlanta. I'm like 2 hours away. And a lot of my friends was protesting at the Black Lives Matter protests and stuff. And they was telling me about all the violence that was going on. It wasn't really that much in Atlanta like it was other places. But when it was, they was like, man, you should have seen it. It was something I never seen before. They was like, man, it was white people like, no, you can't do this. And we all was like, no, they can't do this. Like the police was going at the white people. And I'm like, that's crazy. Like these liberals really will go up to bat for a cause that nobody else is fighting.
That's the key. No one else is fighting. They're like, but I need an excuse to throw this chair through this Starbucks window.
Yeah.
I'm mad for you. I'm mad for you. I
kind of like with that shooting. What was his name? The kid with the rifle.
The rifle.
Yeah, didn't he shoot like 6 white people?
Yeah.
Yeah, and like the stories that was coming out was like they were stalking him and like coming at him, then he shot him. I'm like, why are you following somebody with a gun?
Because he's wearing enemy clothing. He's rooting for the other team. Can I ask you a question? Now, this is a more of a hot button topic, but it is totally relevant to what we're talking about because I'll bring it back around. But I keep seeing memes and stuff. And I live it. I live it at school and everything. What is your opinion with culture appropriation? I think it is the most ridiculous nonsense we could have as a society. And my personal belief is this. We pride ourselves on being a melting pot. We are a group of everything. And then we get upset when people assimilate and want to latch onto other cultures and revere and live the beauties of other cultures. I would imagine a melting pot is taking the best of all cultures and hopefully one day making a new one. And so it may bother us that there's a white girl in dreadlocks, but then there's also some really great pierogies and tacos and, dancing. And so where it may make us uncomfortable at first, I feel like we'll never be able to assimilate. We're always going to see other teams. We're always going to entrench ourselves. And the civil war that is about to come is inevitable because we're upset when people are even trying to appreciate and assimilate and become one of us and grow together. What are your thoughts?
I'm probably the wrong person to ask this because since I started podcasting, I think this was the first time people started to hear my takes, and now everybody has labeled me the quote unquote white man. Like, especially all my friends, they're like, man, you've turned into this white Republican, man. And I'm like, I've been this person since I was young. I just didn't talk that much to y'all because I knew I didn't relate with y'all. But like, I got a friend that has this crazy hot take. He says that in less than, I think he said either 10 or 20 years, he said hip hop will be all white the same way that rock and roll did, or, stuff like that. And I told him, I was like, hip hop isn't necessarily a black and white thing, but he was like, yes, it is. He was like, white people always steal what black people have. And I was like, I don't really see it that way. I just see it as like hip hop is now an American thing that went global. Like now hip hop is the number one genre. So it's not really black and white. Me personally, I feel a lot better thinking that we are moving forward from, whoever came up with racism and black and white, that was the most ignorant and stupid shit they could have ever done. And I felt like as the years go on, we'll get better towards that. You know what I'm saying? But we're still animals. So we're gonna keep finding ways to separate ourselves. But I just like to think it's getting better. But as far as appropriation, I hate stuff like that. Like if it's something out there that you want to do, like if you're black and you want to play hockey or you want to skateboard, just do it. Like I got a friend that skateboards and he has septum piercings and he also has dreadlocks. You know what I'm saying? It's like you can do whatever the hell you want to do. Just be yourself.
That was an incredible answer. And I think, the unfortunate thing is we get so entrenched in it is such a strong psyop, this psychological operation of like convincing people, differences. Like you said, whoever created racism, that's the stupidest shit ever. What's crazy is like these are completely artificial. There's nothing real about them, and yet we live them and recreate them every day. The second, if we all got on the same page and just said, hey, we're done doing this tomorrow. Like if we woke up tomorrow and said, all of us, money isn't real. This is just a piece of paper and a number in a computer. It isn't real. We're not acknowledging it as real anymore. If the human existence was like, we're done with money, money's done, baby. And so we are the ones choosing to recreate these divisions and oppressions every day. None of it's real.
But look, like I said, we'll find another way to separate ourselves. Like one of my favorite books is The Animal Farm. And like, that's like the realest thing ever. Like eventually we're going to find a way for somebody to step in the forefront. And I think I told you the last podcast we did, whenever I think of socialism, I always visualize Beyonce in a cornfield singing at the top of her lungs, picking corn. That's just what I see. Cause I'm like, we're going to separate ourselves. We just have to find ways to make the playing field easy. I mean, even. That's it. Make it a little even. Because like all my friends that believe in socialism, they're all like the same type of people, like lazy as fuck, hippies. You know what I'm saying? And they're like, I should just be able to sleep in the under the Manhattan Bridge and smoke weed all day. Like, why the fuck do you want to do that?
Yeah, exactly. Now, I love it, dude. There's a couple ones that I threw down here that I'm like, we're not really going to get to this, and it's just good to have it just in case,
Yeah.
Dude, you took me right into it. So I do my Instagram story polls, and what's hilarious
I've been
to
liking
me,
those too, by the way.
I appreciate that. Thank you. It's so fun, and I really enjoy everybody's submissions, and they make it fun. But what I've noticed is the funny, like joking, more lighthearted things, everybody's in. But the second you try to make like something real, I mean, it's the Rethink Tank. So I was hoping we'd be able to do both. Like, hey, today I want to really pull you guys. Let's try to, make ourselves think a bit. No interest. I mean, the interest is mildly there, but it really isn't as much as, tell me what WAP stands for.
Yeah.
Everybody's just like, I got one. And
Worship
it's
and
fun,
praise.
though. So this is one that I've had cooking that I would love to do, but I just feel like it's the sophistication. Plus, it's just sensitive enough where people don't want to throw themselves into it. But you took us here, Slim, so I'm curious.
I'm ready.
What are your thoughts on the difference, and if you would prefer one over the other, the difference in equal outcome versus equal opportunity? You were talking about your socialist friends.
Equal outcome, equal opportunity. I'm all for opportunity, of course, but honestly, I was just telling somebody this yesterday. Man, you get in what you you get out what you put in. And I was talking to one of my friends because today he did something really crazy. Like, he took a camera. He went to a club over the weekend, took pictures of random people in this club, and he took pictures of the display screen on the camera and was like, shots with drinks on Mo, photos dropping soon, booking coming soon also. My photography name is Shots with Slim. And I'm like, I called him and like, I wasn't mad. I was just like, what have I told you about that? Like, you have to put the work in. You cannot take a picture of the back of a camera and say, these are my club pictures. Like, what are you doing? Like, this is crazy. But like, some people literally believe that you can go through life and like, some people are just, Blue is like this also. Some people are just well off because they just was born in better opportunities. Like this figurative white man, the reason why they'll call you the white man, I had this conversation with my mom this morning. My mom told me, she was like, baby, you'll forever be seen as a spoiled, rotten mama's boy. It doesn't matter what you do. She said, when you're super successful and you have your own boathouse, everybody is going to say it's because he's a spoiled, rotten mama's boy. I'll never forget when I graduated college, because, when I was a young kid, I was bad as hell. I sold drugs and did stupid shit. And now I'm a college graduate. And guess what everybody said? Oh, his mom was smart. That's how he graduated college.
Yeah, as if you didn't do anything.
Yeah, like
4 years of hard work.
My mom literally never picked a class for me. I went to school in Statesboro at Georgia Southern. And my mom has been to Statesboro twice. You know what I'm saying? She went to help my brother move in, and she went when I got into a real bad accident. That was it. So, like, what work did she do for me?
This is the beauty of the podcast. This is the reason for the podcast. What stinks is, like, we don't allow ourselves to understand different people and different backgrounds enough to, like, that's how you can paint someone of like, listen, I just came from work. I'm sitting here in a tie. And I know that it's like, oh, yeah, you're just talking to this privileged white kid. Look at him. Just look at him. He's just bleeding privilege out of every orifice. And what sucks is it totally takes away from the work that it requires, where there's people who had the same opportunity of me. Yeah, I'm in a suburb. I went to a nice public school, right? It wasn't like we were that privileged. We were still a shitty public school. And here we are. There's people who are, doing better than me. And there's people who are doing severely worse. And it's all what Slim said, what you put into it, right? So when we go, well, you're privileged, it's like, well, let's take a look at that. We say white people own slaves and put people where they're at. My lineage just came from Croatia, started a farm that, their own little place, went in the army, made enough money to buy a shopping center, and we have one little shopping center that my dad works his ass off every night when he comes home to manage and maintain that thing. And then my dad only went to college, right? I am the first of the lineage to go to law school. And every lawyer that you would go to, hey, I want to go to law school. They're like, don't do it. Don't do it. Turn around. Run for the hills. I'm going to do the same thing. It was literally the most miserable thing I've ever done in my life. But there were people from all types of backgrounds, right? You know, you could have somebody who's a minority who was in the foster system, and she's doing way better than me. So much better than me. It's incredible. She's a genius. And then you've got other people who are like, yeah, well-off, privileged, slacking off, and holding on by their teeth. But then there's people who cheated, got caught cheating, went after the school for saying it's racism that you're saying we cheated. And then I was so close to them, they literally admitted to me after graduation, like, yeah, you know, we cheated. It's like, you sicken me to some degree. You're still my friend, but it's like the fact that you would go after a professor's career, say it is, you know, a system that's against you, and then literally know in the heart of hearts that it wasn't, really is scary. But
yeah,
again,
that is sick.
It's these conversations where it's like, if I look at you at face value like your friends would, and they'll just go, no, he's just privileged. You know, he's a mama's boy, you know, that, you know, it was given to him. He didn't work at college. And it's like, I guess it's maybe because they didn't have to put in any of the work. They're lazy. So they don't know.
Honestly,
the work
I think like most people, it's just a big insecurity. It's like, I'm not where I want to be at in my life, so I'm gonna find excuses on why this person is happy and I'm not. That's most people. It's like, this person is happy. They're headed towards where they want to be. I don't know what the hell is going on, so I need an excuse so I can feel better.
You're 100% right. Do you think there's a way to alleviate that? What we can
Man,
start practicing?
I think it's kind of like, and I know I just keep coming with hot take after hot take, but I always say this, like, I just have to tell a story to like explain it better.
Please.
One of my friends came up to all of us and was like, he was going through a breakup, a weird breakup too. It was super weird. Like, it wasn't even that serious. But I know it's not my place to say what's serious and what's not, but that definitely wasn't that serious. And he was like, yeah, man, I think I'm gonna go to a therapist. And everybody was just like, you know, kind of like saying weird off the wall stuff that shouldn't have been said at the time. And I left it alone. And then the next day he was asking me like, you know, why you ain't saying nothing about me saying I was going to see a therapist? I was like, because my views on it aren't appropriate for the time. If you think that's what it's going to take for you to get better, you should go do that. And then he was like, nah, I want to know right now before I even go what your views are. And I said, well, I'm going to tell you if that's what you want. And I told him, I said, therapy is for rich people. I said, you need to go find a job, go find you somewhere to live. And then if you still feeling sick, then you go see a therapist. So all in all, like what I'm getting to is a man has to have purpose. If you're waking up every day and you just getting drunk, having sex with all these girls, going out to all these clubs, you don't have a purpose. Of course you're depressed because you have nothing to do. You have nothing to live for. Those highs only last this long. They last just in the moment. Everybody just has to have a purpose. They have to have something to do, something that they're passionate about. Everybody else that don't have those things, like earlier you were speaking about your friends that get off of work and come home and just want to play Fortnite every day. I'm going to be honest, I don't relate to those type people. Like me and my friend have this like ongoing joke. I told him he always works in factories and we call it facto life. And I be like, you know, you like that facto life. That's what you like. And he be telling me, like, he be cracking jokes and be like, hey, Slim, you need a job because I ain't had like a 9 to 5 in like 4 or 5 years. And I told him, I was like, I'm probably never going to have a 9 to 5. And he never understood it at first. And I explained it to him. I was like, I just don't enjoy that. Like, it's this episode of the Powder Puff Girls. My baby brother used to watch that stupid show every day. And one day I was watching it with him and the guy woke up every day and he did the same thing every day. And then finally he just flipped and was like, I'm gonna be this super villain. And actually the show on Amazon called The Boys, they had an episode just like that just recently, just last week. The guy woke up every day doing the same thing.
I'm only gonna do this to you because it's last week. Dude, here's
Yeah.
my thing with the boys.
I'm not gonna
It is
spoil it.
literally like crack right now. It has gotten
Uh-huh.
so good. So I've gotten sickly and I will
Binge
Friday
watch
will
it.
come. I'll do something Friday, and then I push it off as long as I can. And I'm psyched that I pushed last week's off to where I can watch 2 in a row tomorrow on my birthday. So I literally cannot let you spoil it.
Oh, no. I wasn't even going to spoil it. I was just going to say he did the same thing every time, and he did the same thing the guy did. You know what I'm saying? This was like the first minute of the show,
Yeah,
though.
I'm just
It
kidding.
wasn't nothing important.
So
Yeah.
it's a guy that just gets caught in that loop. I mean, here's my thing. I think we see it in a lot of other media. It like you said, the key is finding a purpose.
Uh-huh.
The sad part is everybody needs and has an appetite for a purpose, but it doesn't have the drive, the creativity, or the want to find or create, manifest one.
A lot of people want to like keep it safe too. Like being safe is more important to people. Like I think I said it on a podcast I did recently or a vlog or something. I said there's people right now today, and these are probably your friends also, that's probably making like 6 figures at their job, maybe even more, and they're psyching themselves out to believe that they're happy when ultimately they probably always wanted to be that drummer in the church, and all they had to do was stay down for a little while and they would make 6 figures 10 years from now. But instead, they're going to be at the same job, making the same amount of money they would have made as this drummer, but way less happy. Then on top of that, they probably going to have all these kids that don't appreciate them. And the only thing they're going to have to look forward to is a 30-pack of beer on a boat 20 years
Right.
from now.
And just the amount of like it's work at that point. Like, let's be honest, dude. I wake up at 6 a.m. I work till 4 p.m. I'm just drained. Just talking to people, and you're just like, and you're just orchestrating. It's exhausting. And it really takes a lot of energy to muster up to now it's like doing another job. This is my hobby, and I want to take it serious to the point where it takes over and becomes a job. Well, to do that, you really got to put in the work and time. And it's like, dude, you have no idea. Just kind of like the last time, unfortunately, something occurred that caused me to miss it. But it was like when the time's clicking now after work and it's like it's coming up, sometimes it's really hard to muster up the energy. But it's a choice. Do you want to push yourself? Are you going to make this happen? Or are you going to, and then you're upset that you're miserable, that you're dragging yourself through a job that pays the bills and is sufficient, but it's miserable to you and your life has become miserable. You have nothing to look forward to. It's sad. I don't know.
But, you know, I get it too, though, because, man, I was telling somebody recently on their podcast, I was like, man, I understand why people want to keep it safe, because I remember like this time last year, I was behind on bills. My car was about to get repoed. I was like, I see why people scared to go out here and take these chances because, you know, that's a rough life. But at the same time, like when you get over that, it's so worth it, especially like making your own money. It's so worth it. I would much rather get a $500 paycheck than a $1,000 paycheck if I earned that on my own, especially with the time thing. Like, if I can do a job that takes me 6 to 8 hours and make $500 versus working 50 to 60 hours for $1,000, I'll take that 500. You know what I'm saying? I'll just spread it out and put it where it's supposed to be.
You know, it's funny you say that because, you know, you get a steady job, you get enough of a paycheck that it's something to excite you. And it's like, all right, this is all right. This is good. Didn't enjoy my day too much. But what's crazy is you sell one $20 mug with your logo that it's literally a logo your friend drew up and it means nothing. It's just an art design that your content and hard work has given value to. And to me, when you see $20 come in for a mug that's just a mug, meant so much more, was just so much more satisfying than that paycheck that keeps coming in because it's something I created and am passionate about. And it's exciting that it excited someone else. I don't know. I completely agree.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I made like $1,500 off of black sit downs with Slim shirts in like 4 days. And I was so happy. I was like, that's crazy that many people want to support me. You know what I'm saying? And like, I wasn't even charging a little for it. I was charging like $30 for a shirt. And people was like, they don't care. They want to support you. And like, around that time was when I was thinking about like, not podcasting anymore, and I was just going to do photography full time. And I was like, podcasting is what got me to this point. Like, this is what people know me for. And I worked hard to build it up to that. Like, I think one of the last couple episodes I had was this post that somebody made talking about how the city I live in only supports popularity. And I was like, I totally disagree. People support hard work. Like, when they see you doing something consistently every week they wake up at Tuesday at 8:00, click on Sit Down with Slim, and it's a new episode. They're like, you know what? I gotta take him serious. He do this every week. Most people don't have that drive, though. Like, it's hard to wake up and get out of bed every day and nobody's telling you what to do, where to be, how to be there, how to dress. Like, it's hard doing this.
Right. And the fact that you're going to hang up with me here and film another podcast. I mean,
episode 1 of the Blue Show.
I'm excited. So it's going to be episode 1 of the Blue Show. I thought he was coming on your show to talk about it. So it's starting.
Episode 1 of the Blue Show, the very first show for the Sit Downs with Slim Network. We're going to have some cool topics. The whole theme of the show is stay woke. Blue is a conspiracy theorist. And he loves talking about black issues that he's doing nothing about. So and he's gonna have his co-host. His co-host is Damo. That's what his shirt is about, actually. What does it say? I don't forget what it says.
That boy spitting.
Yeah, that boy spitting. This is Blue with the shades. He wears shades in every episode. And this is Damo. He always wears a bandana around his head because he's balding, and he spray paints his hairline on. So when it's fading, he puts the bandana on. So that's gonna be the show, dog. It's just something funny, bro. Like, I ain't want to do it at first, but a guy I do a podcast with, he told me, he was like, man, it's time for you to start up a network or whatever. And he was like, that'd be the perfect show because people don't really want to hear serious stuff all the time. They want to hear some funny stuff also. And who's better than Blue and Damo with the funny stuff?
No, I completely agree. That's I cannot wait. I'll be looking forward to it. And anybody watching this, you should go check it out too, because they're really great.
For sure.
I also love that we just got into it today, that I never went, hey, how's it going, everybody? And thanks to my special guest, here's Slim. So, hey guys, introducing our guest for the day, Slim. And make sure you go check out Sit Downs with Slim. Check out his Instagram and whatnot. Slim, this was a great conversation, brother, and I'm glad we got to do it. Thanks for coming on.
No problem, man.
To push your next show and your channel, we'll have to set up one where I can get you and Blue on here. I'd love to do it. I'd love to finally.
Yeah, I should have brought him in on this one because I could have just went ahead and had him pull up so he can be in the background. But I'm gonna definitely have it next time.
All right, we'll do it next time. And I love these conversations as always. So we'll be looking forward to it. And Zoom is, I gotta admit, it's not the one that I can rely on to do every time, but to suffice for someone on the other side of this country, it's pretty great. So,
yeah, I'm getting a lot more comfortable with it. I'm okay with it now.
Well, let's be honest. I'm doing it on my laptop instead of a phone. The audio is going to be significantly better. So I'm getting the hang of it too. It took that. I was just the blind leading the blind at that point. But thanks again for coming on here. Everybody check out his channel. Oh yeah. So check out our new website. Find us on Twitter, like us on Facebook. If you enjoyed this at all, or if you're new, subscribe and share. And we'll catch you next time, Slim. Thanks for coming on, brother.
No problem, man. Appreciate it, man.
All right, guys. Peace.